It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. Yo, man. Boom, Miss Rusty. What's up, everybody? It is Monday, back here at it again because that's what's up. Gotta love your Monday. If you don't love your Monday, change what you're doing. If you love your Monday, whatever, you're doing it right. So make sure you love your Monday. If you're like, oh, it's Monday, I hate this, leave, 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 just go. If you hate Monday, if you dread Monday, if you got like at least 4 days of the week, you're dreading every day waking up, change it. It's not difficult. You can leave. It's okay. Just stop. Stop, go do something else. There's plenty of other things to do. You don't have to keep chasing that little piece of cheese. Anyway, there's my rant for today. Welcome to the Public Access Podcast, the podcast here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN. And I'm your host, Rusty Diamond. And you can check out other shows on the network, like When the Gloves Come Off, the Thinking Man's Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is It with Lizzie and Saved by the Ben. And the show is brought to you by Fred Ben Savage as Fuck, which now that Zoom has a new thing where anything we put on Zoom and record on Zoom doesn't have copyright anymore, we can bring that back. So there's a little heads up to anybody who's listening. Disney, look at that. Have fun with that. Thanks for the cease and desist, and it's not going to mean anything anymore. So, and the show is also brought to you by Stoner Eats Productions, Hardcore Entertainment, Hypnosis is Great, and Sock 'em Up. Check out sockemup.org, SOCKEMUP.org. People need socks. People need socks, and I got a place where you can give them to people who can get them then. We got a middleman, Sock 'em Up. So, I'm gonna bring on my special guest right here, right now. And right here, right now, we have Irene
Hey,
Brooks. Hi, Irene. How you doing?
I'm good, Rusty. How are you?
I'm doing pretty all right today. It's Monday. I love my Mondays. I was saying, if you don't love your Mondays, it's time to leave.
That's
It's time
right.
time to go do something else. And um, I don't know. It's not always the best advice. I also have advice saying, telling people to drop out of school, but do not stop learning. There's plenty of ways to learn for free. Anything you want online. If you want to go get college courses, MIT, Stanford, Harvard, all teach college courses. They have everything they have online, all lectures, all notes, all papers, all online. Anything else, there's YouTube University. That's all free. Keep learning, but you don't need to go to school. Just don't stop learning.
Right.
Uh, that's two things. It's not doesn't always get fully well received, but it's what I like to tell people because it is possible.
Right. I
Um,
agree.
okay, well, thank you. What was your time when you said you are ready to make Monday mornings a happy time? What was it when you thought that would be a good idea?
Actually, not too long ago. So I started my business. It's coming upon a year only, but I've been in this industry for a
Congratulations.
while. But I decided that if I was going to wake up on Mondays and the first two words out of my mouth was a curse word, it wasn't worth doing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough for you, and if anyone else around you hears it, I mean, that's gonna set off, some sort of chain reaction.
Right.
It's good to not to worry about that. So instead of saying whatever curse word it was, your choice of it, you can say it on here if you like to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But we can guess probably there's a few to select from. There might be some obscure one we don't know, but probably one of those two words, is going to be something we can probably guess. But so you decided you're not going to do this anymore. And so what happened?
Actually, well, I had an outside catalyst. And by the way, I still cuss. I just curse during the rest of the day, not just
Okay,
first thing in the morning.
that's good. That's all right though.
But actually, it was, I got a catalyst where I was having a great time in my job, loving what I was doing. But unfortunately, I was told that I was making too much money and they needed to make a change. And that's when I said, gotcha.
That's a great time to get out of there.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, I mean, it takes me back to the Office Space, that movie. And it's like, they have the people and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll just go and we'll bring in some entry level people, pay them way less to do the same job. And so that was a smart time for you to get out of there. And
Yeah.
so they put that up. I mean, so what was your first thought when they said that? Was it time to go, or was it maybe I can work this out, or what were you thinking?
Yeah. So that was exactly actually the first words out of my mouth was, so
Wait, was
I,
what you cut out for a second?
I, great way
Oh
to
no,
get rid of your good people.
very much so. Very much so. And yeah, it's like you know, giving new people a new phone when you sign up for uh a new cell phone plan, but then the people who have been with you forever don't get any deals or anything, but those are the people that
I don't know
are
what's going on. I'm just, can
uh-oh.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
kind of fading in and out, but it's working okay, it looks like. Could you hear what I said?
No, you froze on me.
Okay. Um, so I don't know what I was saying there. I lost that part, but so you
Sorry. Yeah,
oh
my connection, but it's buffering a little bit.
oh okay. Hopefully it clears up here in a minute.
Yeah.
So okay, so you decided you're gonna leave your job. Did you quit immediately?
Hmm.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
So did you quit immediately?
No, actually, I
You're buffering. I can't even hear you.
care
I I can't hear you.
agency. You have to be licensed by the state and go through 25 hoops. So I just went ahead and went through those hoops and was like, deuces.
How long did so was that like a pretty short amount of time then that you're able to say your deuces?
It was, I would say maybe 2 months.
Okay. And so did you tell them that you were planning on leaving, or that they were planning on cutting you anyway, so it didn't really matter that
They weren't
much,
gonna,
or
yeah, they weren't gonna cut my job.
they were just going to pay you less
I paid
to do the same job?
same job.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's a slap in the face right there. And
Especially when you're the only person bringing in revenue into
sure.
the building.
Um, and so, I mean, okay, so then you decided to quit, and then were you starting up your own business right away?
Mhm. I did. I knew that that was the only way that I could make what I wanted, and no one could ever tell me that I make too much. So I just said it's time to dictate my own work versus somebody else deciding to do it.
Was it scary or anything for
Oh
you?
my gosh, I'm scared every day.
What
um,
what about?
Well, it's scary, initially, gosh, I'm gonna starve. I'm gonna make less money than I ever did, and that's kind of true to a certain extent. but it's mine, and I get to dictate the pace of that. But starving, and also not serving my clients well enough, because when you're taking care of somebody and you're the only one there, that's a big responsibility. So,
Sure.
yeah, you have to hire well, you have to sure that bad things don't happen. So screening and vetting people is really important.
So you're hiring people to work for you to help care for elderly people. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So I know that one thing that I've noticed is that the pay has been pretty small for a lot of the people doing this job. And I think that deters a lot of people away from it, as well as not seeming to care as much about what they're doing. Because I mean, a lot of them are minimum wage or close to minimum wage. And I feel that that's kind of the quality that has been gotten. How are you working with that?
Yeah, so that's a very good point, and I've worked where caregivers are treated kind of like a commodity, trade one in for the other, and that's the worst way to view it. Without great caregivers, you don't have an agency. So I pay my caregivers more. I pay them more than probably any agency in this area. And I only work with experienced caregivers. So I don't hire someone who worked at Target yesterday and said, oh, I think I like old people. Like, that's never a good approach.
Yeah, who worked at Target yesterday and comes into the job interview nodding off or something, and you're like, oh, why do you want this job? Oh, well, I bet it has nothing to do with the medications or anything that you may be giving them. But
Yeah.
uh, so, I mean, it's very important to have a good vetting process for this. So then people are going to be happy to have your your people working with their clients. And so are you how are people coming to you? Are they because I mean they're gonna see like, oh, I can get the same care for a fraction of the cost. And I mean, what's it to them to not pursue that as opposed to going for a reputable brand where they wouldn't have to worry about having bad employees and not have to worry about the care of your clients?
So that's a great question, actually, and I deal with that fairly often, um, because people don't realize the risk that they're taking when they they put an ad on Facebook and they say, hey, I need someone to take care of grandma. And then you have random stranger say, hey, I can do it. That scares the living daylights out of me, because first of all, if the person's not going in there, not everyone, I'm not going to generalize, but I've heard this story over and over again, where the person is going in and trying to get grandma's medication, or, slowly over time, they have had things taken from their home, and they don't even realize it. I've had where people have been just not kind to their family members, all the way to like the real bad stuff, and you get abuse and stuff. There's no way that you can vet that unless you do a national background check all counties, do a drug test, we do all of that. We check references. So I can give you the number. If I'm a private caregiver, I can give you the number to my mom. My mom will say all kinds of nice things about me, but I also never worked for my mom.
Right. Yeah, it's not the most, I mean, probably a pretty good reference, but yeah, not gonna be able to tell you too much about that, the quality of, or, the, like a real estimation or a real, um, I can't think of the word, representation of who they are. And because I know that some jobs too, with when calling for reference checks, that especially with former employers, that they're not able to say anything about the employer. All they can say is, yes, they worked here,
Mhm.
which I don't very much agree with. That's a thing that happens. Because I mean, if someone had a bad experience with that job, hopefully they have another job where they can have a better reference in that one. But I think that whoever it is, like if someone called me and asked for references from my employees that I've had, I mean, I wouldn't just say yes, they worked here. I would say everything about them, because I mean, I'm not I don't know, I'm not a business. I'm me who hires people. But yeah, I know that there's a lot of just, oh yeah, they worked here. Do you run into that at all, or is that not as much of a thing in the medical care field?
Well, so there are some places that try to say, I can only tell you start and end dates. And the funny part is that I don't know if it's because I'm extra perceptive, but how people say things speaks volumes oftentimes. If they say, I can't tell you anything but the day that they started and the day that they ended. And they're very like, that may not have been the best separation. But if you have somebody that says, well, they started this day, then they started this day, and we're sure going to miss her, you know,
Yeah, that's a good
even
point.
how they say the name, like, oh, Susie, yes, sure. We like Susie. If
Right.
we.
Now, like, oh, this guy, okay, yeah, we've got calls at him before, and
Right,
here it is again. So I guess that
right,
last job didn't work out too well for them.
right. So I usually, I'll try to ask, and because it's so important. And most of the time they will tell you. And if they say I can't tell you, then that's probably not the person you want to join your team.
Yeah, I would say so. And so then, um, anyway, so once you're okay, do you have your employees hired before, and then you're hooking them up with clients, or are you getting the clients and then hooking and then finding new people to bring on to work for those clients?
But actually, both. I have a really strong group of incredible people that go wherever I send them. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody that's outside of that immediate area, so I'll have to hire for that position. But for the most part, I have my people that can start off a case. I know I can send them anywhere, and they're going to take fantastic care of that person, but also represent our company well to our clients.
And so when you did decide to leave, did you take any people with you? Was it the old, was that, I think it was Jerry Maguire, I think, with that, where it's like, who's coming with me?
Yeah,
And
no, yeah, I took the goldfish and that was it. No, a lot of times you sign a paper saying I promise not to do that. So um, now, down the line, if somebody were to approach me, I'd love to have somebody that I've worked with incredible people, but for the most part, I kind of had to start from scratch.
and so what was your post? How did you start finding people? Did you go, I mean, did you put up a Facebook ad and say, hey, I'm not, uh, you know, not doing it the same way as them, but I need people to work with me? Or did you go, Craigslist or like Indeed or something, or, some sort of, or LinkedIn or whatever?
Yeah, so I did indeed. I did put some posts on Facebook, but they were for like in career groups. So people looking for real work. I did that as well. But the people that are actual caregivers, because I always say you can teach skills. I can teach you how to give somebody a shower or, but if you're not a caregiver, like in your heart, you're not going to do well. So I kind of went where other caregivers hung out, and I said, hey, I'm looking for somebody. So
Which is where? Is this like going to, I mean, so where do they hang out? Is this, I'm curious about this one. Is like, okay, like if you need, a day worker or something, you go to certain
yeah, no,
places, or
we don't go to Home Depot.
I'm gonna go to Home Depot. Yeah, do you hang out at Home
Yeah.
Depot and have a bunch of people hanging out by the sign out front, or
Right. Yeah.
what?
No. Uh, who knows? That might be a thought. No. I've gone to Facebook like groups where there's healthcare people or people looking for a new career or people trying to grow their career, things like that.
So how's that kind of panned out? Have the Facebook groups been pretty good, or do you have? I'm sure there's probably some people coming in there that are easy to pass on, but I bet there's more than enough good people that can make it worthwhile just being probably in one or two groups to keep you going. And then are you in with the admins of the group to like have them kind of give you new people that are coming in the group who they might do anything, have them and then give them a little bit of a kickback for that, or is there anything
Yeah.
like that, or how's that work?
No, you know what? What really works for me is when I get somebody who's fantastic and I say, well, send me your friends, so I do a referral bonus after somebody's worked a certain amount of, shifts.
Yeah,
But a great caregiver knows who's good and who's not. And I've had people say, yeah, I know people, but I wouldn't recommend them here. So
that's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do that too. That's how I like getting a lot of people that I work with. Yeah, if it's will they be good to work with me? And like, most of the people that I ask them to refer, some people I won't ask for
Mhm.
referrals, but I like asking people for referrals because then and then I mean they win too. And
Yeah.
you know, um, like, even with hypnosis and stuff, I like doing referrals, and
Mhm.
pretty all right.
Yeah.
And then so where does that leave you with what your day to day ends up being? Are you like, are there like, if people call out, do you have other people that are ready to go? Because I know that's also something that happens a lot in that field. But I
Mhm.
mean, you said you have better employees, but I know that the calling out or no shows, especially, I mean, yeah, with that pay grade was tough. I mean, I used to do caregiving too. Like when uh, I did it for maybe a year or two. Um, and yeah, I just remember like, and then yeah, watch other people who are doing kind of the same thing, and I saw a lot of call outs and no shows. And how's that working with you?
So like I said, a lot of the people that I work with are experienced, so I don't deal with that too much. Now, I won't say that I never deal with it because I've been surprised by people that I'm like, oh, I'll send so and so. She's great, and then all of a sudden, she falls off the face of the earth. So
Right,
it
it
does
happens.
happen, yeah. But what we do is we have a team of people that are very team oriented. So if I say, hey, I really had this happen, I need you to get there. I'll always communicate with the family and let them know what's going on and say, I'm getting somebody to you. I've had to do a 12-hour shift not too long ago with somebody. So we do what we have to do in order to get that person taken care of, because it's not just taking care of somebody who just needs to hang out. It's somebody who needs to be fed, who needs to be clean, who needs, a change. So you can't just say, oh, I opt out today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they can't be left with nobody.
Right.
And so who was, not names, but your first client you ended up with? Do you remember who it was or how you ended up working with them?
Yeah, I do. It was actually like of a friend of a friend who knew that I was starting my business, my agency, and they called about their mom who needed companionship, and that was really easy. And then my second client was a full care, total care, 24-hour client, and that was not so easy.
Yeah. Just being, because then, so are you with your client or not your clients, but your employees? Are they, because I remember another thing with that was with the 24-hour care, and then other jobs I've worked where they're 24-hour a day jobs. Are you having to change up people's, like someone that's working, 2 days as a day shift and then maybe have a day off and then do a night shift or two and then go back and do like another day shift, and then do you do stuff like that? Is that how it happened with that? Or
Yeah, generally we'll work in teams. So what happens is we'll have one person do a 12-hour shift, then you have the night person, because night people are night people, day people are day people. If you ask
uh-huh,
me to work all night, I'd be fired within the first 2 hours, because I'd be out on the sofa, mouth hanging open, drool, because I can't.
right.
My body's not set up to stay up all night. So I'll have, two night people, 2 day people, both working 12-hour shifts. And then I'll have 1 or 2 backup people, because you don't want to send random people to somebody's house. So if
Right.
all of a sudden this stranger shows up. So today's Mary, today's Susie, today's, Emma. And this person who may or may not have dementia or some kind of cognitive issue is getting more and more confused by the day. You really need that consistency for them, for the caregiver, as well as for the family.
Absolutely. And so this is I don't know, kind of a weird question.
Mhm.
So what happens when inevitably the caregiver either no longer needs care or dies, and then so does it just ends? Or I mean, I don't know, or is there usually someone else there that would go to work with the next person, or is that
Mhm.
just the client's time is done?
Yeah, so the client, we will take care of people from the time when they just need a little bit of help, with companionship all the way to the end. So once like hospice comes in or something, we're still there with them, because hospice comes in once or twice a week, checks their vitals, does whatever hospice does, but they still need help on a day-to-day basis. And death is really part of our daily life. So
Yeah.
we know if there's a client that's imminent, which means they're, on the last ends, we'll I'll try, because you have to keep people working as well. So you're looking at it from a, heart perspective of being a comfort and support to the family members, but you're also, as a business person, you have to think of, if once this person passes, I need to fill this aide's time, so
Right.
that they're not going away from me, especially when they're fantastic. So um, I keep my pipeline full with, and most of them are referrals. And then, but while we're there with the family, we're very present with the family. So we're not like, well, when is this going to happen? Because I need to move to my next client. It's,
Right.
it's really done very, we're very sensitive to that time because it's a hard time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, especially if it goes on for a while and
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah. My favorite is seeing people, I say, graduate from care. So sometimes we'll take care of somebody for months and months and months, and they're getting better and we're working with them. And then they don't need us anymore, or they went from 24 hours of care to 12 hours of care to 8 hours of care. You know, that's great. You know, we don't want to hold somebody there
yeah.
if you don't need it. So that's my favorite.
Yeah, I bet it's great to say, all right, we'll see you later. Have a, well, send me a postcard or something.
Right,
Or that,
right.
it's yeah, it's a good thing to have them, in a better spot. And
Mhm.
yeah. So then I guess the the last thing I was kind of wondering about was, so what happens when you have uh, a client that is a pain,
Mhm.
uh, a very, very difficult client? What happens with that? Is it kind of case by case? Is it, do you do, I mean, a bit of a vetting process on them as well? And if it's going to be someone that's just, you don't want to work with this person,
Mhm.
is that a part of it as well?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. When I go in for the initial assessment, they're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing them. So if I have, if there's somebody there that I can tell is asking questions, there's certain things that our aide can't do, not because they're unable, but because our licensing says, it sets the parameters of what we can and can't do. And then when we have clients that say, well, no, we still want this aid to do, insulin, for instance. We cannot administer insulin. We're not nurses. We're caregivers. We're CNAs. So I'll explain it to them, explain it to them, explain it to them. If they're still like, well, if you're not going to give me what I want, you know what, this isn't a match. Let me refer you to somebody else.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
but and that's usually when I try to nip it in the bud. But then if once you get there and the client's being unreasonable, you know, then I try to have a conversation with them. I'm a social worker by trade, and the cat's getting ready to make an appearance. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay.
Woo, did I lose you?
Nope, you didn't lose
Okay.
me.
Okay. The cat just took away my
Uh,
screen, but hey, there it is.
and that's what cats do. If I had my door open, I'd have a cat coming up here, and the cat would be on the laptop, and you just see a tail
Oh my
flickering back
gosh.
and forth up here.
Yep. Yep. Mine puts his face right at the camera, like, look at me. You'll see
Yep.
like a little bit of my head.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm the star of the show now.
Right. But anyway, I'm sorry. The
So,
So I had somebody tell me that they did not want my caregiver who was doing 12-hour shifts to bring in even water into the room that, while they were there. They don't want them
wow.
to take a lunch break, no water, no anything, just sit there. And that's A, illegal.
Right.
B, that's not how I treat my caregivers. I would never ask that you know, of you, so why would you ask that of us?
Yeah.
So that's when you just say, this is not a good situation, I can't help you. But as a social worker, I try to do conflict resolution, like my kids say, I put on my social worker voice
Yeah.
and and try to see, how can we get around it. But some people just don't have realistic expectations. So, we just have to kind of part ways and be friends.
Nothing wrong with that. There's and that's important. And I say this a lot with a lot of therapists or hypnotists or, anyone that's working with clients, that it's okay to refer out to somebody. If somebody's, there are so many people that do that job. And if like you're not connecting with them, that's fine. They can refer you to somebody else. And I would rather do that. Like I know not everybody likes me and not everybody's going to have the same experience. And I don't want to turn them away from the positive experience
Right.
of something that they wouldn't get from me, but I could give a lot of other people, and they'd be wasting my time. I'd be wasting their time. And, it's
Yep.
important to make sure that whoever it is getting their best stuff. And if they don't want, if they're still like really pressing on that hard sell of wanting to work with you or them, then that usually puts up some flags for me. And I'm wondering really what their motives are for everything. And
Yep.
so,
Yep.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so when people are wanting to work with you or wanting to check out what you do, how are they going to do that on the internet or wherever, if they want to go and, find you while you're walking through, some theme park or something and want to find you and buy you, a hot dog and a soda or something or whatever. I don't know.
Sold.
Yeah. Where are they going to find you?
So I have a website online at www.noplacelikehomenc, like northcarolina.com. The majority of people actually find me through their caseworker at the hospital. So if their loved one is in the hospital or at a rehab, they'll, a lot of times when they're going to discharge you, they'll say, you need help at home. We don't feel that you're safe at home. And most people don't walk around saying, oh yeah, I know this care agency. So the hospital will make a recommendation. They can't recommend, they can give you just choices. So, I'll go and I'll try to win them over. So, but I also try to talk to as many people as I can and educate, because a lot of people just don't know. So I do a lot of speaking and a lot of interviews and things like that.
And so are you able to do this from home or do you have an office?
I have an office. Right now I'm in my home office. So I have two offices.
Okay.
I have an office at a business park that is where I have to keep my files. So, because I deal with HIPAA,
right.
Yeah, they have to be locked away in a certain way. And so that's where my official office is. And then when I want to do actual work, I come to my home office.
Is there, so with HIPAA, are they working towards something where there may be less physical paperwork and more be online, where you would be able to have only the home office? Or is it kind of always going to be something where you think there's going to be file folders and filing cabinets?
I sure hope that we can move to a paperless, because there is so much paper and you have to retain it for so long. And, I have HIPAA compliant software that I put my clients through and my employees through. However, you still have to keep a paper file on certain things, certain aspects. So I really hope we go paperless.
I hope so. I hope so too. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It
but,
is.
Yeah, well, hey, Irene, thank you so much for being on. I'm glad we got to talk, not knowing what we were going to talk about, where we're going to go with the conversation. And I'm happy we got to talk and get to where we got to.
Absolutely. And I didn't cuss, which I always have to apologize to people because I'm like, oh, I'm a cursor. But I don't know.
Do you want to say something for the road? If you want to throw one out at the end, feel free. It's okay. You can
It's
do that, or
fucking
if you don't want to,
fantastic. Fucking
excellent.
fantastic that I did not curse.
Perfect. Thank you for fucking being here, Irene. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. All right.
Thank you. Same to you, Rusty.
All right. Thank you. All right. That's Irene Brooks. So I'm glad she got to do that at the end. Maybe I should just open that up at the end for anyone. Always feel free to curse on here, but yeah, why not? So she's going to have a great time when she hears the music at the beginning and at the end. So thank you everyone for being here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN. I forgot to do this. You guys call in, leave a message. You can do that before you should. 503-974-6420. I'll play it on the air. You can leave a message or be like, I don't want to.
Messages? Messages? We don't need no stinking messages.
But I need messages. So you guys, thank you. Like, subscribe, share, do all that. Download. You guys are doing awesome. You're getting the numbers. You guys are doing great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is the show, man. Boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Ernest! Ernest! Ernest!
Yes, Pee-wee.
You brought the snacks, right?